Hi, my name's Gabriella. Welcome to my channel where we talk about and do loads of creative things, lots of theatre and like acting things. So a couple of weeks ago I did a video on applying for student films, how to book student films to start your acting career. So this is the next part where I want to go over how I actually go through and pick what I'm going to apply for, because you're going to increase your chances of getting cast in things if you actually apply for things that are a good fit for you, and not just like casting type wise. There's actually quite a few different things that I take into account, and the people casting will also probably be taking into account. So this may also be a useful video for student filmmakers or filmmakers in general putting out their castings. If you're wondering what sorts of things that actors look for in your listing, or if you're just wondering what in general to put on your listing. So most casting sites have some sort of search functions. I normally just put in my playing age range and my gender, and so I can see all of the possible roles that I could possibly apply for, and then I start getting a bit picky. There's different approaches to this, from applying for literally anything that you possibly can to only applying for like really specific things that fit you down to a T and are completely convenient for you. It's completely different for every person, and it'll take some time to figure out what works for you, but I'll go through my process and show you things to look out for when you're applying. When I was applying, I was checking postings daily, and I was applying for things pretty much daily. It worked out as an average of about 5 a week. Sometimes that would be like 1 a day, sometimes that would be 5 in a day. So on Mandy, the casting site I would use, on the initial listings you will see the location underneath the title. So I would go through and open in a new tab anything that was in a location near to me. Then I would go through one by one and check the following things. Production dates. If I'm not free for the dates that they're shooting on, I wouldn't apply. You can maybe apply if you think you'll be able to move things around, or on very rare occasions they sometimes change their filming dates or would be willing to work around you, but on the whole I would say if the production dates don't fit you, probably don't apply. And also don't worry about applying for things that shoot at the same times, because the chances of you booking 2 things that are shooting on the same day are so slim, and on the off chance that that does happen, then you're just in the really fortunate position of being able to choose which one you want to do. Then I check the location is actually convenient. It may say London, but what side of London is it on? Is it on my side of London, or is it the other side? Is it close to public transport and it'll only take me like an hour to get there? Or is it far away from most main transport links and it's going to take me 3 hours to get there? Then the audition specifications. Is there a mention of an in-person audition, and am I free and able to get to it? This isn't something that's make or break for me, as most people will be willing to be flexible on this, do different dates. Sometimes they'll do online like Skype auditions, or they'll let me send in a self-tape, but it's just something I like to keep in mind. And also keeping in mind that if you need to travel for an audition, you won't get travel expenses reimbursed, so that's going to be a cost that you're just going to have to take. So is that something that you're willing to do? Then the character description. Ethnicity and age range are quite big ones. On Mandy, the ethnicity is one of the things right at the bottom, and it's really easy to miss if you're not looking out for it. And often the character will appear in my age range, but they're looking for someone who looks much older or much younger. Like, quite a common thing to do is for people to set age ranges from 18 to 99, just so that it appears in everyone's searches. But a lot of the time, it's not because it doesn't matter what age the character is, that it's just because they're trying to get everyone able to apply for it. So I always check that I fit the character brief, and I close it if I don't. Like, you can take a chance and apply regardless of either of those things. It may pay off, they may be willing to make changes, but for example, if the role is a mother to a teenage child, even though I might be in that age range, it's not going to be very realistic if I'm playing that. Things like that, I always just like to check. And related to that, I check the requirements for the film. Do they require me to have any special skills or talents? Do they require a certain accent? Is there anything like playing an instrument, juggling, being able to ride a horse, drive, etc.? And also, is there anything that I'm not comfortable doing? I go through check what the requirements are, if there's anything in there that I might need to be able to do, and if I'm not able to do it or not comfortable doing it, then I close that window. Then I look at what you get. It's kind of generally assumed that with a student film you get your travel expenses, a copy of the project, and food if you're there over a meal time. Sometimes you might get extra things like an invite to the screening if they're showing the film anywhere afterwards, or a small fee if their budget allows for that. The first three things are pretty much expected, but sometimes they don't list them on the job listing, so it's a good idea to check whether that's just because they've assumed that you'll assume that's what you get, or whether they're really not able to provide any of these things, and whether that's something that you can then commit to the project because of. And also sometimes even if they do cover travel expenses, they will say in the listing that that's only up to a certain area. So if you're in London, they might only cover travel costs in certain zones. Then I check whether they require you to provide your own costume or not, and if so, do you own the right things? It's not usually make or break for me. Usually, more often than not, they'll be willing to provide the costume for you if you can't get it, but it's a good thing to keep in mind. For example, if you know there's going to be fake blood involved and they want you to provide your own costume. So just things like that to think about. Then once I've looked at all the logistics and requirements, I move on to look at whether this is actually a project I want to get involved with. Some people may not do this, and it's completely fine to just look at all the logistical requirements, see whether you can do it or not, and then apply. The bare minimum that I take is usually a concise summary of the character and the plot. Ideally, I also like to know a little bit about the people creating the film and what they intend to do with it. Are they final year students intending to take it to film festivals? Does their assignment require that they film in a certain style, such as in black and white, or on film as opposed to digital, silent film, or mockumentary style, or documentary? It can be nice to do different styles, to do a mixture of things, or if you don't mind, that doesn't really matter, but sometimes if you're looking for a certain thing to fill a spot in your show reel, you don't want to assume that it's like a regular film and turn up and then you're shooting a silent film. Or occasionally if it's something like they're shooting on film, or they have very short shoot days, then they may not be able to fit in as many takes as you would like. Like I had a situation once where I turned up and they were shooting on film and they were running quite low on film, so we were only able to do each take once, sometimes twice. So those are just things to keep in mind. They might also be doing a largely improvised script, or using my last example of shooting on film and only being able to do one take. That might be something they're doing anyway, regardless of whether they have enough time or film or space on the memory card. They might be making a stylistic choice to shoot everything in one take, like the whole film might be in one take, or you might only have one go at each take. So make sure that these are all things you're comfortable with and you want to do. Having an attached script is probably the most useful thing as far as deciding whether I want to do the project or not. And finally, I look at how they've written the listing, whether it's well presented, gets all the information across, are they definite on their dates, and not just, oh, we'll fit it around our actors' availability. That doesn't help me. I need to know when things are so I know if I'm free and whether it's worth my time even applying, because at that point I was getting booked up like months in advance, so I needed to know dates to know whether I could fit things in. The tone in writing, whether they're being really demanding or like stingy on what they're offering. They get to audition you and see what you're like, but all you get to see of them most of the time, unless you have an in-person audition, is what they've written in that initial listing. And you need to decide whether these are people you want to work with, so you have to go off the only thing you have, which is that listing. Quite often I won't apply for things because I don't like the way that they've written their listing. It doesn't come across well to me, and so I will make a decision that because of that I don't want to work with them. One thing I come across fairly often though is that there's actually quite a lot of international students studying film in England. So often, not so well written listings can be down to a language barrier. I've actually applied for several listings that I didn't think came across particularly well, and I'll have taken a chance on it because I saw something in the listing that really appealed to me. And then when I met the people in auditions, they were actually really lovely and incredibly talented, but it was just down to a language barrier that meant the posting didn't come across particularly well. So don't always dismiss something if you don't like how it's written, if you like something else about the project. And if you're someone writing a listing, it can be a really good idea to get someone else to read it through and check it for you, regardless of whether your English is your first language or not. Because there are also plenty of badly written listings out there written by English people, so it's a good idea to get it checked through beforehand. So I'm gonna wrap this up here. If you haven't already seen them, go check out my videos on how to actually book student films, how to find the projects to apply for, and also things you can be working on to help improve your acting career. And stay tuned because I'm doing at least 2 more videos in this series on student films on what to expect in between booking the job and turning up on the day, and also what to expect on the day, and also how to get the most out of the whole experience. And if you have any questions, let me know below, or any requests for other things to talk about, and then maybe I'll make some more videos on this if that's interesting for people and helpful. So, because yeah, I hope that this is mostly just helpful for people wanting to get into the industry by doing student films, or just people looking to do student films in general. I mean, this particular video can probably apply for anyone applying for jobs online. I hope wherever you're at in life that this has helped you in some way. And if you want to see more videos like this, more theatre things, fun things, creative things, subscribe, let me know in the comments that you want to see more stuff like this or whatever you want to see stuff like. And I hope you're staying safe and very well, and I'll hopefully see you in another video really soon. Okay, bye!